Cool. So I think we've been thinking a lot about what I term big social data, all of the data produced by transactions, by interacting with the social web and so forth. But something I'm trying to get my head around a little bit more is what we might term big environmental data. So, you know, over the last decades, I suppose, the developments in sensing technology have been quite extraordinary. You know, we know there's satellites up there, the Landsat satellite, and that has, created, if you like, a big data product. The Google Earth Builder has put this together. We're now seeing things like WRI's Global Forest Watch on top of it. So dealing with those massive data deluges coming from it and turning those into tools which people can use. What's really taking off now is a whole set of different sensors. So as sensors, I suppose, have got cheaper and smaller, we're starting to see sensing filling that gap between the sort of top-level planetary satellite sensing and to a lot smaller, more local level sensing. And beginning to come on stream are vast amounts of new data. So on one level, there's all of the data which can be captured through sensors mounted on drones, and the rise of drones, which are going into all sorts of different sectors now: agricultural sector, forestry, surveying, and so forth. But another big development which is happening is acoustic sensing and acoustic networks. And there's a whole science starting to emerge of soundscape ecology, where we can actually start indexing the quality of ecosystems and the quality of landscapes from acoustic cues. So where's this taking us? So it seems that where we're moving, probably within the next 5 or 10 years, is that this step change or even transformation in the data we have to manage the planet. We've been managing the planet in a very data-poor world. The spatial and temporal resolution of that data is just transforming. Whereas previously we might have known something, studied something, known about it 10 years ago and acted. Now this is being compressed to, having almost real-time data on environmental change and data which can integrate across scales and across sectors. So for me, this is, on one level, it's really exciting in how might we deal with the environmental crisis. We can deal with the environmental crisis, or it's enhancing our ability to do planetary management in different ways. And planetary management at a speed which can address we can get more proactive rather than reactive on environmental things. So that's all good and that's all cool. But there are worries about this as well. There are worries that the planet and our Earth systems may start to be being managed by a group of technocrats, a group of some data scientists and information engineers and ecologists, and that actually, where do people get a say in all of this? It's just so complex that you really need sort of almost an elite managing it. Perhaps it's always been like that. But then there's another worry which I think about as the sort of virtualization of nature. That as all of this data gets more and more sophisticated, we can almost capture all the different elements of an ecosystem. And then we have other technologies developing in the commercial world. And one of the ones I was looking at last week was Oculus Rift, which is a sort of, it's these, not so much glasses, but these, they almost look like scuba diving goggles, which you put over your head, and you're immersed in a virtual world. And it's sort of this mix of technology which is coming from flight simulation training or simulation training and gaming. And once we're able to start putting all of this environmental big data into it, it might be that we're able to start walking in a real natural world. So does this mean that people may lose the need to be connected physically with the natural world? That, it just reminds me of all these films I used to watch, the sci-fi films like Strange Days and what have you. And I think this is a real worry that a lot of environmentalists and conservationists may have in there, that through this really positive technology to improve our ability to manage planetary systems, we might end up disconnecting people from those planetary systems. And then what sort of world is that which we get into?